I'm super glad to be here today. This is my third Next, and it is one of my favorite events of the year because I get to spend so much time with all of you all. I am Liz Wilke. I'm the principal economist here at Gusto. I run our public-facing data and research team. I do speak 4 languages: English, Spanish, French, and everyone's favorite, Pig Latin. I did fly my first plane at age 8. The fully certified flight instructor, who had kind of a crush on my mom at the time, thought it would be a very cool way to impress her. So he handed over the controls with some very specific instructions about how not to kill us all. And we've all lived to tell the tale, and the skies are still friendly. But no, I am not a SAG member. For those of you that remember last year, I have been in a couple of big name movies, although none that you would remember. But that did not get me access to the Screen Actors Guild. None of those experiences are why I'm here to talk to you today. As I said, I lead Gusto's public data and research team. We exist as a team because small businesses employ 47% of the US economy. They drive long-term productivity, and they are very, very important to our economic prosperity. Yet almost all of the attention that we pay to the private sector and to businesses is about big businesses. And we know very, very little relatively about what it takes for small businesses to thrive, the issues that they're facing, and how to respond to them. So that's where my team comes in. We have all this data on the platform. We serve over 300,000 small and medium businesses. So we take that data, we combine it with government sources, we do original surveys and research, and we put all that out into the world to be knowledge for small businesses and you all, the people that support them, so that they can make better, more informed decisions about their businesses. And that's part of why I'm here to talk to you today. This segment is called The Economy Explained. It's part of our regular economic advisory service. Part of it is public, part of it is specific to accountants and pro, who can use these resources to help their clients and have conversations about what's happening to them in the broader economic environment. I'm here to talk to you today about where the economy is right now, broad brushstrokes, and also what's ahead, and then also help you to think through some of the things that you might be able to do to help your own clients in the coming months. Before I do any of that, many of you have heard me say that the economy is like the weather. It can be raining in Cincinnati and beautiful in Cleveland. And even if it is raining in Cincinnati, what that means for you as a small business in Cincinnati can depend on a lot of factors, like whether you have galoshes, whether you have a roof over your head, whether or not you sell umbrellas. No one, absolutely no one, knows your business like your clients and you do. So I can give you the weather forecast. You and your clients have to take that to make decisions about how to move forward with your clients. Okay, if there are 3 things that I would like you to take away from this presentation, let it be these. First, overall, the economy is in a very strong position with a little bit of softness around the edges. That masks a lot of variation in experience, which we'll get into a little bit. But overall, the economy is chugging along, and that's going to be very important when we talk about how people feel about the economy, which is also a big issue for us right now. But it is getting slower, which is helping to stabilize inflation and get us into rate cuts later this year. Second, despite the difficulty of being a business owner in this uncertain environment, many more business owners are coming down the pipe. And increasingly, they will look very different from business owners of 3 or 4 or 10 years ago. They're shifting their strategies in this environment. They are going to be smaller for longer. They are going to be more reliant on contractors. They are going to be tech and digital native, and they are going to expect the integration of technology into their services. And increasingly, their need for advisory is increasing and changing. And then third, that all means that supporting your small business clients includes advising them right now to think about their long-term hiring plans, maybe holding off if they can, and figuring out how to get people lean to do more with less, helping them make investment plans and upgrading their technology to save on those costs and improve efficiency, and to plan to grow your own advisory services for compliance, and also that fits the needs of those just starting smaller businesses. They are in a precarious position, and your advisory can mean the difference between a long-term sustainable wealth-building business for them and a failed business. Okay, moving on to the economy today. Elliot, who I think some of you may have met, some of you may have not, is going to give you a data storytelling presentation tomorrow. He has strongly encouraged me to use analogies to talk about the economy, so I will do so here. A very useful way to think about the economy right now is that it is experiencing a condition that is not uncommon to American men. That condition is dad bod. You guys know what I mean. Still super strong at the core, still a solid foundation, lots of energy. It's a little like softer around the edges than it used to be, you know, just a little wobbly here and there. So we're basically seeing that here. The economy is in pretty good shape. We are seeing some softening, which I'll talk about. That's actually pretty good news because it means that we have a path to interest rate cuts and taming inflation by the end of the year. So that strong core really shows up in two primary indicators. One is the year-on-year inflation rate. So the Federal Reserve's preferred measure of prices, which is what it uses to determine whether or not we get an interest rate cut, has declined 13% year on year since January. So we're still seeing really good progress there, and that's great news. And that is balanced with the fact that we still have a very good, robust unemployment rate. The labor market still looks really healthy for a lot of people, and we're going to want to see those two things move in tandem. Both of those facts combined means that there is still an opportunity for interest rate cuts, possibly in September, possibly a little bit later, which I know a lot of your small business clients are hoping for. Over the next few months, these two indicators are the most important ones for seeing when we will start to see rate cuts. That'll be great for businesses that have been waiting to make investments. And we want to see inflation continue that like nice glide path down while the unemployment rate stays more or less about the same. If the unemployment rate starts to spike up, we'll probably get some interest rate cuts sooner because the Fed's trying to balance that mandate, but that's not really the situation that we're hoping for because it means we're heading into a recession. Okay, but there is some softness around that strong core. So the number of open jobs that are available in the economy is down about 26% since its post-pandemic peak, about 8 million jobs versus 11 million now. That signals that employers are deciding to hold on hiring, to reduce their expansion and efforts. They are really sort of starting to wait and see. And we're seeing that happen across the economy. And just as I said, the unemployment rate is a strength for the economy right now, the labor market is also starting to show some more signs of weakness. So 2 months ago, we exited a very long streak of sub-4 unemployment, and now we've had 2 months of increases in the unemployment rate. We expect to see a little more of that softening through the summer and fall months. So hopefully that number doesn't go too high, but we do expect it to go higher as the economy starts to slow a little bit. I will remind everyone at this point that this quarter, the economy is expected to grow on track with its long-term average of 2%. So this is all signs of a softening economy, not a weak economy. Okay, those are aggregate statistics. That's the big picture, but there's a lot of variation across the economy. There are 32 million businesses, 161 million workers, 393 major metropolitan areas, 20 primary sectors, 4 time zones, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. These big statistics mask a lot of variation in the economy, and we care about small businesses in particular. And that is looking a little bit weaker than the overall economy, particularly where talent is concerned. So you can see that job openings for the 1 to 9 segment and the 10 to 49 segment, job openings for the 10 to 49 segment have basically fallen off as they've made matches and decided to hold off on expansion. But those 1 to 9 employees really struggled to find good matches that meet the market rate and to fill those open roles. And that's coupled with a continued pressure for pay increases. It has gotten better. We've stabilized at some lower rates, but average pay per worker and average pay for a new hire is still positive year on year. For these small businesses, they're not even able to keep up with inflation increases, which means they're actually becoming less competitive in the talent market than they used to be. And that's going to continue to drive price pressure for businesses looking for workers, but it's also going to make them less able to make that connection. As a result, job openings for this segment are down just under 250,000. And it's not just about the cost of labor. This is an issue about the fit between the talent and skills and availability of the labor that exists and what a business actually needs and can pay for. In the National Federation of Independent Business survey, 20% of small businesses said that the quality of workers, not the cost of workers, was their number1 business concern. To put that into perspective, 22% of them said it was inflation, which is the number one business concern right now. These two things are neck and neck for small businesses as a major concern to their business. The cost of labor is not a separate issue from the quality of labor, because when the cost goes up, you need the quality to go up too, right, in order to justify that. I was talking to one of the accountant partners yesterday who said, on a scale of 1 to 5, I used to be able to hire a 4, and now I need them to be a 4.5, or a 4.7, or a 4.9 before I can pay them the going rate, right? So it's actually getting harder for these businesses to make that match. And the implications for small businesses are this. The longer my job openings stay unfilled, the less confident I am that I can find the skills that I need, the more I'm gonna think about, 1, staying small for a lot longer, right? Or I'm gonna think about, I need to change my tech, I need to change my process, I need to change my equipment so that I can do 20 or 30% more with the same or fewer human hours of work. So this is where you all can support them, because those investment plans take planning, they take money, and they take the help of execution, right? Changing workforce structures, reallocating budgets, finding financing. That's somewhere that you can help them. One other major issue I want to address is what we call the vibe session. That's our very fancy economics term for the fact that the data and the feelings are not aligned right now. So what you're looking at is what's called the Small Business Optimism Index. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's basically an index of indicators that talk about how optimistic small business owners are about their current and future environment. So that thick black line is an assembly of the hard components of the Small Business Index. It's actually what businesses are doing now and what they're making plans for based on their current situation. What are my expected hiring plans? What am I making plans to spend money on? What are my sales right now? Things that are actually happening. That soft line are the soft components. They're all about expectations and feelings about what the future holds for me. Historically, these things move together, right? Except for that red section there. There is a widening and large gap between the hard components, the real, and the soft components, the feel, right? And we are starting to see that in other places too. 2/3 of businesses from a US Chamber of Commerce survey said, my business is in good shape. But only 1/3 of them say the economy is in good shape. And over half of Americans in May said that they thought the US economy was already in a recession. We grew 2.5% annualized in the first quarter of 2024. We are on track to grow another 2% annualized in Q2. We are not in a recession. So there's a huge and widening gap between what people think about the economy and what's actually happening. I cannot explain this gap, but I can tell you this. There is no way that it can be true that 2/3 of businesses and 3/4 of American households feel good about their finances and we have a crappy economy. Those two things don't go together. So we just have to accept that this is how people are feeling right now, and that's where advisory becomes more important to help bridge that gap. So, things for you all to think about in this context are to help businesses think about how to get people lean and support their investments in labor-saving technology, labor-saving equipment, more efficient processes and productivity, so that they can get around that long-term talent crunch that they are still facing, even as labor becomes more available in the labor market over time. And also be the voice of data. right? You all are the numbers people, and you're the trusted advisors and fiduciaries of your clients. When people feel bad about the data, they make suboptimal decisions. Nobody knows what is going to happen, but that is as equally true now as it was in 2019 and 2020 and 2022. Being an owner is hard and it's emotional. And when we feel worse about our environment, we don't necessarily make the best decisions. We close in and we make risk-averse decisions. So you all can really be a voice here and help your clients think through, look, these are your numbers. This is what it is in the environment. It makes sense or it doesn't, and there are always associated risks, right, with taking jumps and making choices. So this is really important because it doesn't just help businesses. It helps their business owners. Right? So I was listening to an interview by a woman who's running the first year of her legal practice. She left her old practice, she's running her first legal practice all alone, and she had her first baby while she was doing it. And I remember listening in this interview, she said, I was so scared of hiring someone because I was like, can I afford to pay them? Do I have enough work for them? And she put it off until she was basically working 70 hours a week, right, and completely burnt out. And then her accountant partner said, yeah, you can totally afford this. Please hire someone. You'll double your revenue and you'll get some time hours back. And she did. She got 20 hours a week back to spend with her kid and to spend on herself. And she expanded her business at the same time. This type of advisory, looking at those numbers, especially in this time when people feel very pessimistic and uncertain, can be really helpful, not just for the health of their business, but to help them actually get time back, get a quality of life back. That is kind of the reason they're small business owners in the first place, right? Okay, that's what's happening broadly across the economy. I want to talk a little bit about a few trends that I'm seeing that I think are going to affect the small business landscape in the coming months and years, and what that means for all of you. The first is that we are absolutely not done with the surge in post-COVID entrepreneurship. There are going to be a lot more businesses coming down the line, and those businesses, whether they aspire to work 3 days a week for $100,000 and live on a boat, which honestly is kind of my dream, or they want to build a 50 or 100 or 1,000 person business, are all going to benefit from an accountant's support because they come to you guys first. Before they come to Gusto, before they incorporate, before they consult an attorney in lots of cases, you are their first port of call because they care about the taxes, actually. That's really why they come to you guys first. But you guys are also the first point of contact to help them feel confident and steady that they are doing something that can be done. And more of them are going to be smaller for longer. In our survey of new businesses this year, 44% of the business owners we surveyed did not quit their full or part-time job in order to start their business. In this uncertain environment, it feels riskier than ever to do that. Technology has enabled them to build a business without necessarily giving it up. Or they started an internet business, and then the sustainable scale of their firm is 1 to 2 people, and that's it. And those smallest, earliest businesses are using contractors like never before. So they will delay hiring, and they'll become more intensive users of contractors. That doesn't necessarily ease the paperwork, it changes the paperwork, right? And it opens up different risks for them. They are really tech savvy now. They are like the youths with all their technology and gizmos. So 20% of the businesses that we surveyed were actively and intentionally building generative AI into the core structure of their business. 20%, let me remind you that ChatGPT debuted in November of 2022, not even 2 years ago. It's a huge jump. 40% are not actively incorporating it into the structure of their business, but are using it in an integrated way in the daily activities of their business, right? This number is only going to get bigger. The technology is evolving, the use cases are expanding, and businesses are starting from the beginning knowing that this is an option to them. What it means for you all is that your business clients in the future are going to expect and be very comfortable with tech-first services that are largely self-serve and largely tech-mediated. And to add on to all that, these guys do not know what they do not know. Plenty of them have MBAs, plenty of them do not. Business ownership has never been more available to people. This is a huge opportunity to build wealth, intergenerational wealth even, and livelihoods for a whole new crop of people. It also means that a lot more people do not know what they are missing or what they are catching. So your advisory becomes more important here. And even as business owners know less about what they don't know, the knowledge and compliance requirements are increasing. 17 states currently require employers, in some cases with only one employee, to enroll their employees in a state auto IRA or offer a 401k. 48 states have either implemented it, passed a law that will implement it, or are actively considering a proposal to pass a law. Many, many more businesses will have to file a beneficial ownership interest report. You know what that is. Your clients probably know what that is. I would bet very good money that your prospects do not know what this is or that they need to do it. And 30% of all small businesses were spending more time over the last 6 months on compliance than in the prior 6 months. That number jumps to 47% with businesses with more than 20 people. A business with more than 20 people is still not a large business, and they do not have an extra person to spend all their time on compliance. The more time you spend on compliance, the less time you spend on running the business. And for new business in particular, it creates this roller coaster effect between doing the paperwork and making sure the business survives and actually executing the work that generates revenue for the business so that it can survive. Your value proposition here is at very least to take time off of their plate so that they can get off that roller coaster and start doing that work. So here again, you can be the bridge. First, for your own advisory, think about whether or not there are opportunities to package more light touch, really directed education. These small business owners don't even know what needs to be done. They don't even know what their options are. So thinking about educating them with some very low cost, light touch, proactive support can really help to accelerate their time to profitability and their transition to a full-time company if that's what they want. And it can get them to a long-term sustainable business even faster. These new business owners, like all business owners, have exceptionally high responsibility and ownership. They'll do the work as soon as they know the work that needs to be done. And there's a long-term nurture here that can really help them to grow and scale before they are ready before they are ready for more sophisticated high-touch services from you all. And second, plan on increasing your advisory services and compliance support. The value proposition is two places here. One, just as I said, giving time back so that these businesses can get off the roller coaster, especially before they're fully cash flow positive regularly, so that they can get back to doing the work. And I'll say, charging 3 times as much as your clients charge their clients to do something, people feel that. But solving a problem for them in 1/4 of the time with half the headache, there's value in that trade, and some people will see that. And the second is helping them see the forest for the trees in the compliance landscape. There are more compliance requirements coming down the line, and business owners are increasingly less likely to understand what the requirements are or how to deal with them. And as you'll see in the compliance panel later today, they're also far more likely to overstate the risks to their business of not complying with these issues. So helping them focus on the right things and also right-size their effort for the compliance issues that they are facing can not only help them get time back, but also focus their attention more efficiently and resourcefully. So let's wrap this all up with a bow. To review, help your clients by helping them think about how to hold on to their hiring plans, how to upscale their business with the same or fewer number of hours, and help them think more long-term, because this talent crunch for them is not going to resolve itself anytime soon. This has moved from a short-term problem to a long-term problem, and thinking about a long-term solution for how to up-level the efficiency of the team they have is going to go a long way to helping reduce those talent constraints that they're facing. Also, be the voice of data here. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but your Your role is to give good data-based advice to your clients, not to validate their fears about what is going to happen, unless you do that and then you give them the good data-based advice. Your job is to help give them the best guidance that you can. And right now, succumbing to fears and uncertainty about what is going to happen is inconsistent with all of the data that we have. Second, think again about tech-first, self-serve service with light touch, more focused on education. What do I need to do? I don't even know. What is a KPI, right? What is a tax filing, and how often do I have to do it? And how do I get a tax credit? And also, what is a tax credit, and how is that different from a deduction? Is these really simple questions that new first-time business owners just don't know, and they don't even know how to be confident, even when they Google the answers. There's a real opportunity because you can deliver this with very low cost at scale to help your businesses in the long run. And then third, increase that support for compliance and advisory. Established businesses are going to face increased compliance requirements, but new business also are going to face increasing compliance requirements, and they are going to need that time back to get off that roller coaster. Y'all, thank you so much. That is my time. I have loved spending this time with you. I look forward to seeing you all today, and enjoy next.